Help me please. She begged. Her face pale. I just smiled. Help. You should have thought about that when you were sneaking upstairs to Tony's apartment. By the way, Adam and I just got back from our anniversary trip. He says hi. Her jaw dropped. The silence was so delicious. Am I crazy for wanting to tell a man his partner is cheating, or should I mind my own business? So, this whole situation has been a slow burn. And I'm at a point where I seriously need some outside perspective, because my partner thinks I've lost my mind. It all goes back to 2020. My partner was working for a local delivery company. So he was driving the same routes every day. He got to know the area and the people on his route really well. Including this couple, Adam and Sophie, who lived just down the road from us. Had drop-off packages at their house all the time. Just a regular, friendly hello, how are you kind of thing. At the time, we lived in a first-floor flat in a small building. It was one of those blocks with 6 flats total, 2 on each floor. We were on the first floor, and living directly above us, on the top floor, was this guy named Tony. For the most part, it was a quiet building, except for one major issue. The flat across the hall from Tony seemed to be home to the world's most dramatic couple. They would have these insane domestic blowouts, and their fights would always spill out into the communal hallway. We're talking screaming, doors slamming, the whole 9 yards. After a few months of this chaos, we decided to install a doorbell camera. Honestly, our goal wasn't to spy on anyone. We just wanted some peace of mind and to see what the hell was going on right outside our own front door when these fights kicked off. The camera was pointed right at our door and captured the small hallway space and the stairs leading up and down. It did its job. And for a long time, that was that. Then, in 2023, things started to get a little weird. I began getting motion alerts on my phone. Usually only late at night. I'd check the camera feed. And it would be Sophie, the woman from down the road. She was always heading upstairs, to the top floor where Tony lived. She would visit for a while, but she would never stay the whole night. The first few times, my brain just processed it in the most logical, straightforward way. I figured, okay, she and Tony must have started seeing each other. Seemed a little odd given she was with Adam. But I assumed they must have broken up. I didn't give it a second thought. It was just background noise. Another piece of everyday life in the building. It was none of my business. And frankly, I didn't care. But then her behavior started to change. The first time it happened, I almost dismissed it. I got a notification, checked the feed, and saw Sophie heading upstairs. But just as she passed our door, she raised her hand to her face, shielding it from the camera's view. My first thought was, weird. Maybe she just doesn't like being on camera. I get it. I'm not a fan either. But then it happened again a few nights later. This time, she had the hood of her jacket pulled way up, and she angled her head down so sharply that all the lens caught was the top of her scalp. It was no longer random. It was a conscious effort. This wasn't someone who was camera shy. This was someone who was actively hiding. My brain started trying to solve the puzzle. Why hide if you're just visiting a new boyfriend? Unless the person you don't want seeing you is someone who knows you're not single. I felt a small knot of unease. But I pushed it down. Still, not my circus. Not my monkeys. Fast forward to this year. 2025. Life goes on. And I'd honestly almost forgotten about the late night visits. Then my partner comes home from work the other day with a strange story. He works at a place with a public-facing counter. And he's standing there when the door opens and in walks Sophie. He said the moment she spotted him, her entire demeanor changed. Her eyes went wide for a second. And then she immediately broke eye contact. He said she started fiddling with her hair, tucking it behind her ear over and over, and just generally looking at the floor anywhere but in his direction. It was obvious she was nervous and uncomfortable. She avoided talking to him directly and went to another staff member. My partner was close enough to overhear their conversation. He heard her say, clear as day, that her partner, Adam, had broken his leg. She was talking about how tough it's been, taking care of him and all. She bought what she needed and left quickly. When my partner told me this later that evening, it was like a lightning bolt hit my brain. The words Adam has broken his leg echoed in my head. Suddenly, I wasn't just looking at isolated, weird incidents anymore. The late night visits, her deliberately hiding her face from our camera, her sudden nervousness seeing my partner who knows her and Adam as a couple all snapped into focus. This wasn't a new relationship. This was a secret. She was sneaking up to Tony's flat late at night, behind her partner's back. And not just her partner, but her injured partner, who was likely laid up at home, completely unaware. The whole picture was suddenly so much darker and uglier than I ever imagined. And now I feel like I'm an unwilling participant in her secret. So now, looking back at all of it, it feels like I've been incredibly naive. The pieces all click together to form this one ugly picture. The late-night visits weren't for a new boyfriend. They were for a secret one. Her suddenly hiding her face from the camera wasn't a random quirk. It was the act of someone who knew she could be identified by people who know her as Adam's partner. And her nervousness at my partner's job. That was the fear of being caught. I'm now about 99% sure that she's been having an affair with Tony, all while her partner Adam was at home, completely in the dark, and more recently, with a broken leg. And here's the kicker. I still have some of the doorbell footage saved on my phone. Just a handful of clips. But they're clear. I have clips from the beginning where she walks by, face clear as day, heading upstairs. And I have the later ones, where she's actively hiding, pulling up her hood, using her hand to block her face. The evidence feels so damning. This is where I'm completely torn. My first instinct, my gut reaction, is that I have to tell Adam. Last night, I turned to my partner and said, I think I need to find a way to let him know. He stopped what he was doing and just looked at me like I'd grown a second head. Are you crazy? He asked, his voice flat. You absolutely cannot do that. It is none of our business. You're going to blow up their lives based on a bunch of doorbell videos. He thinks I should delete the footage and forget I ever saw anything. He says I'm just looking for drama. His reaction completely threw me. I thought I was on the moral high ground here. If it were me, I would want to know. I'd want to know if I was wasting years of my life with someone who was lying to me, especially if I was injured and vulnerable. But my partner's words have planted a seed of doubt. Am I being righteous? Or am I just being a nosy neighbor who's about to detonate a bomb in a stranger's life for no good reason? What if there's some explanation I'm missing? I don't think there is. But what if? So, Reddit, I'm turning to you. What would you do in this situation? Do I approach one of them? And if so, who? And what on earth would I even say? Hey, I don't know you, but my doorbell camera caught your girlfriend. It sounds insane just thinking about it. Or do I listen to my partner? Delete everything, and pretend this whole thing never happened? Am I being crazy for wanting to potentially save this guy from wasting his time? Any advice would be appreciated.